Welcome back to discussing the options of the Seawind 1370. We have with us again Mike, General Manager at Seawind, and James, the Production Manager for the 1370. And in this little evening soiree discussion, we're going to be discussing the engine options for the 1370. So welcome back, guys.
Hi guys.
Mike, I'll let you kick off.
Yeah, first cab off the rank is just talk about engine controls. And probably to start with, I probably should just explain what the base boat is. So for engines and engine controls, we've got the 40 horsepower Yanmar inboard diesel ×2, and with that we have a fixed 3-blade propeller and single mechanical control on port side. That's the base boat spec up, sort of relevant for these options that we're going to talk about. So that's so the same setup that we have on our other models. That's a Morse control cable. That's sort of a physical cable going down to the motor. Same that you'll see on 99% of boats around the world. So firstly, the first option we've got here to talk about is the dual engine controls, which are the mechanical type. We've installed these on a number of our other boats. So it's a replication, same controls on the starboard helm. But being a mechanical setup, it means you've got obviously the physical cables going down, and then you have a changeover as well. So you have to, you can't use them both at the same time. Physically, you can't have the starboard side cable, forward, and then the port side also forward. It won't let you do that. So you have to be in neutral, and then we have a physical changeover switch, which we would mount by the port helm typically. And that's a lever that you have to rotate, so you have to have everything in neutral, you rotate it, and then you can use the other side again. Okay, so fairly straightforward. And the advantage of having dual helm controls, obviously, whether it's mechanical or electrical, is that you've just got the ability to dock with better visibility and control. Yeah. Okay.
It is super useful. I think when we had those two 1260s, especially in the Whit Sundays where we had to go into Hamilton Island, and it's the first time we've really been let loose in a catamaran on our own. We did charter one in Thailand. Moving from a monohull to a cat, there is such a crazy amount of difference in the way that the boat handles and the way that you dock it. And for us it was a very learning experience. So having dual-sided controls is an absolute no-brainer for us. Because if you're trying to bring a boat in to moor up on starboard and you've only got controls on port, you have got a whole heap of distance where you can't see what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting. Over the years, having been part of 200 odd Seawind smaller boats, the dual helm control on that size boat probably 10% or so. Not significant, but I think as you go up to the bigger boats, certainly when you're handling like on the 1600 with a dual helm, you'd never have a single helm on a boat that size. So I think it's once you get up into this bigger size, and I think we're in this category now, that dual helm probably becomes a bit more relevant, a bit more of a necessity. So yeah. Okay, then the next option is to go to a dual helm electric control, and James, perhaps you want to talk through how that's set up and the ordering process for us with that.
So this completely replaces the Morse mechanical control system. So I just should probably mention there that we are having digital displays for the mechanical controls, but it's the YD42. So we're not using any analog. Just so that it's easier for us to sync.
For the standard boat?
Yes, for the standard boat, it's just easier for us to sync the data into the multifunction display. So when you go to electric, we go to the new Yanmar. It's a Yanmar specific system, so it's the YC20, it's their new system. It's only been out for about a year. It's upgraded from the old YC10, VC10, sorry. And it really needs to, we have to order this right from Yanmar directly, because all the wiring harnesses are all totally different to the standard boat. It's customized for our boat, so we have to specify the lengths for all the different connections, and the whole thing is programmed and set up for the way that we want the boat to operate. So we have to order this very early on, a very long lead time. So this is a particular option. If someone wants to go this road, we need to know very early on. We can't just change it out down the track and suddenly they want to go from this to this.
Yeah.
So there will be a cut-off point for this particular option because of the programming and setup for it. But you do get, right from the go, you will get 2 controls. So you get port and starboard with this option. So there's no upgrade to get a second controller.
Yeah, so the way, I mean, the bulk of the cost is actually getting that harness and the digital control. To put the second control in just makes sense. Yeah,
it just makes sense.
Yeah. So you've got, I mean, they're beautiful units, and likewise you still have to do the changeover like you would do with the mechanical, but I mean physically it deactivates once. So you can have a throttle, forward, but it's just digitally it's switched over. So. But yeah, very nice to use. We've actually been using them, albeit the slightly older version, and then now the VC20 on the 1600s, and they're very seamless to use.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, I think that's that.
Yep.
Next item is the 3-blade Gory folding propeller upgrade. So as I said before, we've got the 3-blade fixed as standard on the boat, and then this is the 3-blade folding. So we've been partnering with Gory for many years, and we just think that their propellers are got a very nice design-wise. I think they're very well thought out in that they've got this overdrive function. So, firstly, the propeller when you're using it in its normal format opens out as a 3-blade folding would do normally, but then there's a certain sequence that you can do with the throttle control, where you can actually have the propeller open so that the leading edge becomes the trailing edge, and it changes the pitch on the propeller. So this overdrive function is very much for when you're perhaps motor sailing or just doing long distance, where you don't need sort of low end torque. You're looking for the sort of higher speed. So it's a bit like being in a fifth gear in your car on the motorway or something. So you've got a different pitch. Giving you a different. It's different. It's for long range cruising essentially, and with that you get different fuel efficiencies from it. Okay, so now the Gory prop upgrades are different depending on which engine you've got. So with the 40 horsepower, when you go to the Gory, you go to an 18 by 12. And that's got a slightly different gear ratio when compared to the Gory upgrade that you have with the 57. Which actually, with the 57 horsepower Yanmar upgrade, we include the Gory 3-blade propeller as part of that engine upgrade pack. Okay. So now the 57 horsepower has a 20 by 14 Gory prop. And it's a different gear ratio, so it's a bigger prop. That's therefore you're able to, because you've got more power from the engine. We're able to run at a lower speed with a bigger prop, which is better for efficiency. So with that, the 57 has a longer sail drive leg because we've got to handle that prop under the hull, keeping the same minimum distance below the hull for the prop. Okay.
Interesting. So a couple of points I just want to ask. So really, what you're saying is decide on your engine, your throttles, and your props early on, because if you have because the prop is linked to the engine and the throttle's linked to the engine.
Yeah.
Another question, and I think we talked about this about a year ago, about maybe starting up with a fixed prop and then changing the prop down the line if that's something you want to do.
Yeah.
And I think you said at the time that the 57 horsepower generates a lot of torque and may cause damage to a prop that's not properly spec'd for the engine.
I think that would be true for pretty much any engine if you have the wrong size prop.
You can damage it.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially what we're doing is we're taking that out of the question. We're just putting the right size prop for the 57. If you option the 57, you get the Gory as included. So we've done. So all we're really talking about in terms of props is base boat, fixed 3-blade for the 40, and if you want to upgrade to the Gory props, then we have that as an option there.
Yeah.
So
we did move between a fixed prop and a folding prop, feathered prop on Ruby Rose, and it does make a massive difference.
Right.
It does make a huge difference.
Yeah.
If you've got a clean bottom and you want performance, the adage is it's like a fixed prop is like dragging a bucket behind you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and look, we do see that most people tend to option the gory props on all of our models. I mean, we have it there because we do have boats that get sold into the charter fleets where they don't want to have that sort of propeller on the boat. Sorry. So that's our base level to start with. Okay. Next item is the rope cutter. Fairly straightforward. That comes out of the States. It's got a nice unit, and that's just a unit that goes on before the gory prop gets fitted, and it's just a razor sharp.
A serrated teeth ring.
Oh yeah,
We had one of those. Wouldn't cruise without it. It has dug us out of so many problems, so many problems.
Yeah.
From fishing nets off the Moroccan coast to, it's mostly fishing nets, but also bags. We had a Hessian sack around the prop. So yeah, really.
If you're sailing out of Vietnam, I absolutely 100% say you have to have it.
Yeah. Okay, last item is the engine upgrade, and I'll probably just tidy up because we did previously have a 45 horsepower engine on our options list, and we've closed that out. We now just have the 40 as a base model, and then the 57, which is the upgraded size. So both of them are the common rail Yanmars. So James, do you want to just talk a bit about the upgrade and what that means?
Yep. So the 57, obviously more horsepower being 57, but the main reason is just for efficiency. So by having the larger engine, we can reduce the number of revs per minute the engine runs at to drive the thrust on the propeller, and therefore lower engine revs. We burn less fuel. It just makes sense if you're, trying to be efficient. Then, and because we have bigger engines, as you already mentioned, we can go to a much bigger prop, much slower turning prop to be more efficient. So there's a lot of advantages in the whole system. So we spent a fair bit of time on this, calculating the ratios, the props, engine revs, to make sure that if you're taking this option, you're going to get a big advantage in fuel efficiency. So we've got lots of theories on it, but until we've done our actual sea trials, we can't,
So obviously that's part of our launch and testing process on boat 1, which has the 57 horsepower, is that we will be doing some sea trials where we'll look at all the stability aspect and the engine performance aspect, and we'll do some fuel efficiency stuff. But until we have the 40 horsepower, because you guys are also having the 57s coming through, until we have a boat with the 40 horsepower, we won't have the comparative data, but at least we'll be able to understand, did our predictions match the 57? And if we have that right, then we can say, we're probably okay. It's actually the sort of the hydrodynamic side that we need to understand as much as the actual power output.
There are a lot of variables, and obviously if you put like 300 kilos of stuff on a boat, it's not going to sail as efficient as if you've got a very light boat. And other bits, the things that we do know absolutely categorically, you are going to get better fuel efficiency with a bigger engine. That's a given. That's got nothing to do with the hydrodynamics of it in comparison between two engines, but also the fact that the 57, because it will run at a lower rev range, will be quieter at that rev range, and that, so engine noise, engine vibration is something that we have to consider as liveaboards, and we, moving to a catamaran, now have the advantage of being able to only use one engine and actually have one silent hull for off-watch, which for us is very, very important, because a rested crew is a happy crew and therefore a safer crew. So running one engine, a quieter engine, and less vibration is something that is actually as important as fuel economy to us. So just to throw that into the mix.
And connectivity on both engines, James. So the displays, how do they work?
So the 57 automatic comes with the VC20, so it's a digital system, and we can link this via the NMEA into the multifunction displays, or however many displays you have. You only have to add a small adapter into the system, so a big advantage having digital. You can also do that with the 40. They come with the YD42 display, so they're also a digital display, and we are able to connect that into the B&G system as well. So.
Yeah, so when you're at your helm, you can have your chart plotter with your RPM and all the details, temperatures, etc. Yeah, which is great. I mean, that's compared to the smaller boats that are they're the analog style,
and they had a
very expensive interface unit that you could pay to do that. Whereas now with the common rails, you've got that digital output, so we can do it, which is great. Yeah. So sorry, 57 horsepower. You come with a VC20 digital helm on both sides?
No,
one side, port side only?
It's only on port side,
yeah. So then we can upgrade to
if you wanted to, you could. If you had a multifunction display on your starboard side, you could pull across that information into that.
No, sorry, helm control.
Oh yes, both.
Dual helm.
Yes,
yeah. So
absolutely.
The 57, it's not just the motor upgrade, you're also getting the electronic helm control on both sides, and you're getting the gory prop as well. Okay. Folding prop as part of that upgrade package. So the 57, so it's quite a comprehensive engine.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes it clearer because I didn't understand that. One thing that people ask a lot, weight difference. The way that I looked at it, the 40 is 197 kilos and the 57 is 220. So it's only 23 kilos per engine difference. So,
well, this is one of the reasons why we dropped the 45 because. The weight difference between a 45 and a 57 was next to nothing because they use this. It's a common motor.
Yeah. Same block.
So,
yeah. There's other ways to make that up, right?
There are indeed, Mike.
Okay. Well, that's the end of our engines and controls section.
So listen, I hope you enjoyed that. It is a pretty deep dive into the electronics and the engines. On the 1370, we'll be back again with yet another chapter with Mike and James discussing options for the 1370. Enjoy.